one more edition of Come On Out with David Leddick. And listen, we're running out of gay guys in Miami Beach, not really, but anyway, don't have a gay guy today, but I thought I would take you into my home life a little bit, introduce you to, this is my cat Enid. Enid is from France. She came wandering out of a wheat field as a kitten about 16 years ago. She is very self-possessed. This is Sophie, who was found under a dumpster about 4 years ago. They do not particularly like each other at all. We also have Sammy, who's from Uruguay. Anyway, Enid wants to get down, but you've met her, okay? And Sophie's going to chase her. What I want to talk to you a little bit about today, I thought I will talk to you about some of my, I'm doing a lot of books all at one time. I have this new book, Gorgeous Gallery, which we've already talked about. I have a new novel coming out in the spring from Wisconsin University Press, which I'm going to talk about another time. And at the moment, I'm just finishing this week a book on my advertising memoirs, which will be my next book up. And it's called We Offered Them Caviar, because I used to come back from the clients when I worked in advertising and say, we offered them caviar, but they wanted peanut butter, so we're going to give them peanut butter. But I thought something very interesting brought back my own past a lot. And when I talked to my blog mistress about something that happened to me last weekend, she laughed a lot and she said, this has got to go into the blog. So I'm going to tell you, is that I came out of the supermarket last weekend and I was on my bike and I had all these various packages and things to put in a basket and hang from the handlebars. I'm standing in front of a lady sitting on a bench right in front of the store. She's big and fat and she's smoking. And she looks at me and she says, get out of my space, you fucking bitch. And I looked at her and I said, do I look young enough to be called a fucking bitch? Thank you. You made my day. I did. I thought, you know, I'm kind of in the category where you could call me an old fart. And she called me a fucking bitch. I thought, this is something. I should have a badge that I can go around wearing. I have felt really up ever since. And I was at the store again today and I kind of looked for her. And I thought maybe she would have called me something else today and make me feel really good. But anyway, I thought, you know, it took me back to my advertising days. And I worked a lot. My book is really primarily about when I worked as a worldwide creative director for Revlon at Gray Advertising, which I did for about 20 years, off and on. I'm in my 6th career right now, you know, and but that was one of my longest efforts, and it's going to be a very interesting book because Revlon was always voted the worst client in the United States every year. They had Advertising Age was the magazine, and everybody voted. And like people, you know, if they heard it was Revlon, they ran for the woods. And it never bothered me because I'd been a dancer, you know, and life was so, you know, when you were a dancer, I was at the opera. We went in at 10 o'clock in the morning. We worked until midnight, 6 days a week. So working for Revlon wasn't anywhere near as hard as working at the opera house, not at all. And they were like the worst people, the worst, you cannot imagine it. I mean, the language, people would come out of meetings and say, oh, I've never heard such, this is the worst fucking people, oh, shit out of the way. I mean, it was amazing, what the language they would use in meetings. But finally, we had a ton of money. And if you had a really great idea, they'd say, fine, take 6 girls, go to Switzerland, you know, the drinks should all be by Revlon, and the jewels are all by Cartier and blah. They only wanted the best. So you balanced it out, and it was a great time because we used to go to South America, we would go to Africa, we would go to Switzerland, we had a John 2 perfume, we went all over Europe every year doing these incredible commercials. So they were really amazing, probably one of the most amazing things of my life is that I would, and when I worked for them for about 4 years, and then I went to Europe and worked as a television commercial director. And I came back to New York, and they heard I was in town. And the secretary who called me said, I don't know what they want, but they really want it. So they were negotiating for me. They said, you're back, oh my God. So I did a contract with them where I worked 32 weeks a year. I had 20 weeks a year off, which I could work freelance for other people. And like I said, I didn't want to lose my life in France. I didn't want to lose my French. I didn't want to lose stuff. But they were really kind of phenomenal bunch of people in a phenomenal time. And the Mad Men show, the reason I wrote it is the Mad Men show is correct. And it's very much what advertising was like, but the world I was in was much more like Hollywood, I think, probably. And you know, really, it was so hard. It didn't matter if you were gay, it didn't matter if you were black, it didn't matter if you were a woman. I mean, a lot of the top positions at Revlon were women. Their chief creative director at the company was Kay Daly. She was paid $100,000 a year in the 1960s. I don't know what that would be today. And she was the most highly paid woman in the United States. So I thought, you know, it was an experience working with these people because they were willing to spend tons of money because they were making tons of money only on their image. And if you could work with them, they paid you to do it. They were so tough, so hard to do, but they were very willing to pay you. So that has been the foundation of my life, as I might. Anyway, here we are with all our faculties impaired. So thank you very much. I just want to talk to you a little bit about my life and my new book. We offered them caviar. Hopefully we will get that wrapped up and get that out within the next 6 months. Could be. All right? Thanks a lot.